You're smarter than I am. That is for sure.
And you're live now on Facebook and on Zoom.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone out there in the greater Mono County and the greater area. This is coping with COVID and fire and grief and getting ready for the holidays. We're really grateful that you're here. We're going to talk a little bit about the fire that occurred yesterday up in Walker. And just really, I want to start by saying that I hold all of the people up in the Antelope Valley in my heart, and all the people who know the people in Antelope Valley in my heart. It's what a devastating thing to happen anytime, and especially now. You can go to the Q&A. That's a Q&A little box there, and type in either a question or a thought or an idea or anything, really, comment. Also, we're on Facebook Live at the Mono County Behavioral Health page. And we are here, we have been here every other week throughout, since I think about March or April. And right now we're gonna meet once this month and once next month because of holidays and things like that. So want to let you know that you can go to monocounty.ca.gov, correct? And there's a picture of a fire with that you can click on, and that will take you to all kinds of information, including a map of the most recent damage, so that if you're curious about somebody or yourself and your property, you can find out what happened to it. Also, if you are from that area and you need temporary housing, you can go to the Carson Valley Inn up in Minden, and the Mono County Behavioral Health, or sorry, Mono County Emergency Services has vouchers up there for people who are experiencing evacuation from the area. It's a lot. It's a lot. How y'all doing?
It's tough.
Muddling through.
Muddling.
Yep. So you'll notice my background is different today. I am in my dad's kitchen. So welcome to the home that I grew up in. And so you'll see me come and go because I am making him dinner. We have routines and we stick to them. So, but that's why we're in the kitchen.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
I am too. So to the point about the map, there are concerns that people have about identifying information that's super de-identified on the map. If it's your property, you'll know it's your property. If it's not, then you won't. But we decided, it's a hard way to learn if something happened to your property, but you want to know.
Yeah.
It's better than not knowing. Maybe I would want to know, and I would want to be able to move forward from that point. So it's super hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. And maybe that's one thing, and Beth, maybe you could speak to this, is when we experience a traumatic event, most of us want to know something. How did it start? Where did it go? How's my stuff? How are my people? Are my pets okay? Like the first place we start is just with general knowledge about how has my environment changed, and can I just understand what happened? That's always the first place that humans go. Ish? Yeah, Beth?
Oh yeah, no, I agree, Robin. I mean, we as humans need information, even if it's horrible information, and devastating information, like Ingrid is saying. The information is what we're needing, and people are waiting for that. Unfortunately, though, you and I were talking earlier about the fact that when things like this happen, people really go into shock. I mean, one of the first sort of experiences is a sense of shock and disbelief, and so for those that are feeling really a level of devastation, please know that is completely normal. Yeah. And right now you're probably trying to figure out how you're going to get your physical needs met, like where you're going to be able to sleep, where you're gonna be able to live right now if you've lost your homes, and all of that needs to be you need to be able to move and be able to function so that you can do that for yourself and your families.
Yeah. So when we talked before yesterday, the group of us, we wanted to talk about the upcoming holidays and dealing with COVID. And because I think all of us are hearing or experiencing distressing conversations with family and friends around whether or not we love them, or we want, if you don't want to be around somebody, it's not because you don't love them, it's because you're trying to protect yourself from COVID. And then kind of the different and various ways people are determining whether or not they're safe and what safety means to each person. I mean, I think it's different for all of us. We all are making decisions partly based on what we have access to. So if you have to go to work out in the public, then you're in a different position than those of us that do not. However, we've got some holidays coming up, and in Mono County, we're now in the red zone, which means that the only other zone we can get to is purple. And what that means is that it creates more restrictions essentially for businesses. It means a lot of things, but one of the things that we could do as Americans and as humans is because the science is showing us that if we all just put on a mask and or stayed home for 3 weeks, I'm not saying it's possible or whatever, but if we did that, we would pretty much eliminate what's going on and be able to keep businesses open and get back to business as usual. We're not doing that. And so all of us are scrambling around, well, what is a safe way to be together? Or is there a safe way to be together? And if there isn't a safe way to be with a group of people, because we're all doing various things out in the world and may have exposure to the COVID, how do you have those conversations? How do you have those conversations without saying, if you loved me, you would see me? Or we're family. We always get together for Thanksgiving. It doesn't matter that we live all over the country or all over the state. We need to be together. That's important. This has been a hard year. How do you figure out what your risks are? And what happens if you're the person, or there's a few of you who think, I don't want to do that? How do you maintain connection and kindness in your family and with your friends? So I'm here to ask all of you, how are you doing that? What's your process around the holidays, the upcoming holiday, let's say the Thanksgiving holiday, whether, excuse me, you have to work out in the world or you are deciding you're not going to be around anybody. What's the plan?
If I can start, I'll tell you guys that we just made a very, very difficult decisions, and it was very, very hard. I had to come to a reckoning today, and I forced myself not to go to sleep around the real concerns and risks. And I had a lovely conversation with my son and his girlfriend, and they were going to come for 4 days, and they are now going to come for dinner outside because we're in Southern California, and they're coming for dinner outside, and then they're going to go home, and we'll be very far away from each other. It was very, very painful, I have to say. And then my daughter's dearest friend comes and lives with us at times. She has a hard life, a hard history, and she had some exposure today, and she lives up in Sacramento, and we had to tell her that we can't have her come.
Oh my.
And very, very painful. I mean, and she comes and stays with us for weeks at a time because our home is a place where we can give her a lot of love that she needs and a lot of caring. I mean, I'm still reeling from it because I just got off the phone with Sasha 20 minutes ago.
Oh my, Beth, I'm sorry.
It's really hard.
It is hard. And would you say that one of the things you have to weigh in this conversation is how to manage disappointment?
Absolutely. Disappointment, and all of us keep saying, yeah, but we're doing this for next year, our health, and we'll be all together next year. And I know those are platitudes, right? It's like, okay, that's, what you say, but yes, the disappointment is gigantic. and also the ability to take care of ourselves. I mean, I'm usually in service to others. I don't know about you guys, but
Yeah.
it's more, it's usually more important for me to make everyone else happy. And we had to do this for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about disappointment, and I actually just had this conversation with my parents. We have our grandparents who come from Mexico all the time for the holidays, and my grandma, she has some health issues, and she's very stubborn, and they're still trying to come next week. And I I was really honest, and I gave her a call, and I was like, just because you don't see it happening, in their small town, and it's not being affected, I said it's, here in Mono County and Mammoth Lakes, we're being affected dearly. And I said, it'd be better for us to, maybe give you a phone call the day of, and then maybe we can, ask someone, who has, like a video camera, and help you guys out, set it up for you. So we can all, get together and at least maybe say like a prayer over dinner or something. But it's hard because she's not understandful of like these things can occur even if she wears, her mask. But she's traveling, she's getting, exposed to everything, people not complying with wearing masks, or just weather and flu and everything else. And it was a little difficult trying to talk to my grandparents about that and explain to them, this is, unfortunately, because of COVID, it's just a hard time. But we do it for their health, for their safety. And so we're hoping that they still don't get on that plane. So um
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
they're stubborn. That we're kind of trying to convince them to not come and stuff like that. So it's pretty hard right now with my family, to be quite honest. It's culture. We can't say no,
Yep,
but
yep,
we
yep.
have other family members who are, we're trying to figure out something.
Hey, Ingrid, can you hear me? Could you mute while
Yeah.
you're pounding on the ground? Thank you. Thank you, Cassandra.
Either that or you're gonna have
I
to
was
like,
sauteing onions.
yeah, so either that or you're gonna have to lead us through a cooking lesson or
I
something.
know, yeah.
Julia Child down
The
there.
barefoot sheriff Contessa.
The Barefoot Sheriff Baking is the show that
Yeah,
we watch if we are allowed to eat the results, because she is a
that's the issue.
baker.
I know that there's people out there, and there's people in my life, there's people in the county for sure. There's people in my neighborhood, there's people in my family who think that this is a big hoax and the COVID isn't real, and that we're taking away their rights and all those things. And have at it. Everybody gets their opinion. But this is my thing. I don't know. Have any of you ever had the norovirus? That's when you vomit and have diarrhea at the same time for about 48 hours, and you get extremely sick. And if someone's old or frail or gets dehydrated, it makes them so sick that they have to go to the ER. And I have known people who have died from dehydration from that. So you don't have to believe, if you believe in science on some level, that you could, and the norovirus is also, like the COVID, very contagious. So I just ask you, and this is one of the things I had to ask a family member, if you had the norovirus, would you come to Thanksgiving? Would you knowingly come to Thanksgiving and just spread that little bug around and then say, tough luck. So what if you're sick? Probably not, because probably you would care that the people that you care about would have be miserable. It takes a long time to recover if you're older, especially like myself. So whether you believe in the coronavirus or not doesn't really matter. Like fighting that fight, being that fish going upstream, the bigger piece is, would you knowingly try to make somebody ill or expose somebody to something that you have? Or would you just kind of take a break from it and say, this time I can't make it, I'm sorry. because our relationships matter more than anything. And one of the things I'm seeing is, especially from people who don't believe it, whatever that is they're coming in with so much anger and such like vitriol and defiance and condescension, and that it starts to erode the relationships that you have. And when you do that, when this is all over, I don't know if some people are going to want to repair that with you. So I've had to caution some people in my family to remember that the way I've organized around this, the way other parts of my family have organized around this is very different than some members of my family. But I want to preserve those relationships. And so be kind. Don't come at me with a bunch of anger and an opinion about anything. I don't care what it is. But in this case, let's get along together. Let's remember that we care about each other. We have disagreements about other things too, and we manage to stay kind and connected. This is a time when we need one another. We need kindness and we need connection. You are tuned in to Coping with COVID and the Fire and Grief and Holidays and Elections and anything else that you might be struggling with right now that's causing you stress or disappointment. And this is through Mono County Behavioral Health, but this fine group right here, we all love to get together when we do these. We broadcast them. I think it's called simulcast, but I do like saying that, so I'm going to keep that up with the Facebook Live at Mono County Behavioral Health. We'll be with you again in December, and we welcome your questions and your comments. We would love to know how are you working this out with your family and loved ones? And we might end up doing some role plays if you want to give us some vignettes.
Robin, can I remind everyone that that there is a community conversation with the Emergency Operations Center leaders and Mammoth Hospital that's more of the facts and figures of our local COVID situation. That's tomorrow night, Thursday, November 19th, 5:30 and 6:30 in English with simultaneous Spanish translation. So we're not necessarily the people to ask all the details about the response. We're here to talk about coping.
Yeah, and kind of coping with a lot of things. What I'm learning from this is I don't breathe deeply enough very often, and I'm really paying attention to that more because by hanging out with you all, that's helping me. And also making sure I get outside when I can and trying to breathe in some of that air. Who else?
We have a call-in caller.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Ending in 5698. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Hanging in there. Yeah, I'm just here to, just ask some questions and stuff. But as far as how my family and how we're gonna handle Thanksgiving and all this is, we just kind of go off of the numbers that it's a very, very low rate for people under 70 to die from COVID-19. Very, very, very low rate. So, if we feel sick, we're not going to go have a gathering, but we're not going to let it affect our lives. We're going to try to live, how we used to live and not let COVID dominate,
Awesome.
Everything. So
Awesome.
But
That's good.
I don't really come to these meetings too often because it isn't exactly, I've watched a few of them. I don't really have the time to go to all of them, but I do like to see how the state of the community, at least honestly, I've never been to one of these meetings where I haven't seen anybody from the actual community other than, you guys, it's all just like government people that I see there. I don't really see too many, members of the public, so to speak. I don't know if that's true or all of them, but one of the things that's been annoying me.
Hold on. One of the things about our community is if we work for the government, we also are part of the community. But hey, we're open to having community here. So tell me, what are like your top 5 coping strategies? How do you manage coping in your life?
Sleep, exercise. That's a couple good ones for sure.
Yeah.
I also like to do a lot of research on some of the things that I'm passionate about. Definitely, I go out and I spend a lot of time out in nature,
Right on.
occasional meditation,
Right on.
and
You're a healthy guy.
try to learn
That's
new things.
good.
Yeah, I have a big background in psychology, and I have an identical twin brother, so that helps a lot, with psychology and learning a lot about
Right
those
on.
kind of things. Believe me.
So
Anyway,
when you practice a meditation, what do you practice?
I'm more of a Zen guy. Zen meditation.
Right
And
on.
my style is to just kind of listen to the sounds around me in nature, and just try to not think about anything else and just listen to the sound. And that tends to work pretty good for me.
Right on. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, cool. I'm sorry. One of the things that's really been bothering me though about the meetings that you guys have is it's not the meetings themselves. It's actually just the title. And like you were saying earlier, you're trying to get through this, but like the title itself is like, it really just feels really dark and defeatist. It's it's the new normal, coping in a COVID world. And I was wondering, like, whose idea was it to give the meetings that title? And do you guys want this to be the normal? I mean, I don't think you want this to be the normal, right? I mean,
it probably was mine, I'm going to guess. So I'm welcome to suggestions. Feel free.
Okay.
Have at it.
Yeah, I was thinking like, how about calling the meeting like "Striving to Thrive in Tough Times" or something a little more uplifting?
Oh, that's
I think would
awesome.
be
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully somebody will write that down, because I don't remember much. But thank you very much.
Yeah. No worries.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just.
Sorry, I cut him off. Go ahead and unmute yourself. You're done. My bad.
What? Look at you.
Can't get any better than that.
Okay.
Meth.
Well, so what do y'all think? Getting outside, getting some sleep, renaming this to Thriving. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Great idea.
Sounds like the caller has a family that all agrees that, all agrees that this is not something they're willing to take, risks that other people aren't willing to take, but they're all willing to do it. So it's all going to go really smoothly and harmoniously. And maybe they don't have anybody who's over 70 in their family. So it sounds like it's a good thing. That sounds good. Again, we're not here to tell you that there's a right or a wrong way to do it. We're here to talk about that we have a variety of ways that we are all trying to manage this. And we have a variety of reasons why we're all trying to manage this in different ways. So one of them is breathing, and one of them is being really disappointed that you have to tell people that you can't be around them because you have risk that you're not willing to take. How's dinner, Ingrid? How's our dinner going?
It's good. We're having leftover ribs, so we're making them into pulled pork sandwiches. So I'm sauteing some onions to go on those. So we're going to eat shortly, so I might have to drop off. But I was thinking about that. Everybody has their different risk thresholds and what they're comfortable with. And if the other people in your pod or that you're with have that same risk capacity, then that's fine. That's great. But it also changes. Like for me, my risk level changed as I'm here with my 84-year-old dad. So something that I would have done over the summer has totally changed. So, I mean, we have to be flexible and adaptable, and it's hard, right? So
yeah,
figuring out what you're comfortable with. Everybody's got their own comfort level. And it's great if your family's all on the same page. Like my family, we're all on the same page. It's great. But I know that not everybody enjoys that.
No. And I think part of my motivation was to just, I've heard people around me say things like, if you loved me, you wouldn't care about that. And again, I mean, our job is to keep our family relationships moving forward and staying close and connected to the degree we can. And that means sometimes that you have to agree to disagree, I think, around baseball and politics and COVID now, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, a lot of this comes down, with certain members in my family, I've just had to really learn to set boundaries because there are things we vehemently disagree on, politics being one. And it honestly would make things completely miserable. You know, I was worried about it last we're not gathering together this Thanksgiving, but I was worried about it last Thanksgiving. So, you know, we just set a boundary, you know, and then I do things like, you know, on my own, like maybe those beloved family members are not people I follow on social media. And then I just tell other family members to tell me if there's cute pictures of grandchildren that I'm missing. You know, and we get along great. And we had a great Thanksgiving last year. I'm really going to miss seeing them, but hopefully next year we'll be able to get together. But boundaries help me because I'm somebody maybe who hasn't always had great boundaries. So that's something I work on.
And how do you find that? Is that, are you feeling good about that? Are you feeling like you're doing the job that you want to be doing?
With boundaries,
boundaries?
Or in life?
With the boundaries?
I'd rather
Yeah, in life.
have been a ballerina, but
Yeah.
that didn't work out for me. No, I think it takes work. It takes some work, but it feels good to work at it and you know, have it be successful.
It's hard to be a good human and stay kind with the people that we have disagreement with. That's what I think. And when we, you know, when some of us have really big opinions about things, of which I can do that really easily. I don't know about the rest of you, but I have to remember, like, if maybe I have to find some common ground if I keep butting my head against a wall. And you know, I personally, I don't want to use my time butting my head against the wall and having conversations with certain family members or friends or anybody really, where it's going to go around the same dang circle. Once or twice, and then I feel done. And then let's talk about something else. You know? Okay, this is thriving in a difficult world. I can't remember what he said, but it was good. Thriving is a good one. How do you manage
Striving to
adversity?
thrive.
Striving to
Striving to
thrive, yeah.
thrive. So how do you manage adversity, whatever form it comes to you in? And, you know, right now in Mono County, with our beloved people up in the northern part of the county, in the Antelope Valley, who've experienced this a devastating fire yesterday. Really, our hearts go out to you, and we have resources and want to make sure that you are getting what you need. So coping with a tragedy like that right now, you're in survival mode, and it's really a hard time. The rest of us are working with trying to figure out COVID, whether we agree with it or not, but still having to be part of the social order where, you know, if you want to go in a store, you have to wear a mask or whatever. And then how are you going to manage the holidays? So we do this also on, what are you making now, Ingrid?
Wait, am I not muted again? Darn it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's sounding good, and it's starting to smell good even. Anyway, we come, we're gonna be here tonight in November. We'll be here again one time in December, talking with the community about how you're doing and having strategies for managing stress. So what are you all doing? Do you eat? Are you going to be around people? Or you do certain hikes? Do you do a run, a dog walk, a meditation, a shoulder stand? Like, what do you do? For the
Matthew,
holiday.
Exercise helps me a lot. If I get regular exercise, I feel a lot better. And it's really important, even when the weather's bad, to go outside. Like, try to be outside for 30 minutes a day or so.
I am being mindful of what I'm eating. So eating healthier, drinking lots of water, staying hydrated.
Hydration.
And
How about
reading.
you, Lauren?
Sorry, go ahead. I said exercise helps a lot for me. And then I try to think of like 3 things I'm thankful for every day, even if they're the same things.
Oh, gratitude.
Yeah.
Is it hard ever to come up with the 3?
No, I'm consistently thankful for my health every day.
Yeah.
It's in the back of my mind. And then it changes. Yesterday, I was thankful that I had leftovers and I didn't have to cook dinner. It's little,
Yeah.
but it is nice. And today I'm thankful it snowed. So
Did Mammoth get any inches or?
yeah, we started accumulating this morning around like 6 and we got a few inches
Oh, cool.
wet. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Beth?
I'm acutely aware lately of not laughing as much as we usually would in our household. I mean, there just isn't as much to laugh about. I don't know if you guys have I've noticed that. So we've been like playing games. Like we all of a sudden decided, besides a lot of artwork, because my daughter's an artist and so is my spouse, but and I'm not, but we've been playing a lot of games and we're like, back to watching television shows again that are funny. And also we decided that we wanted, because we can't travel, we started to now watch like cool documentaries where you actually can go places and start to learn about other places. So we're just trying to, so I would call that distraction actually, probably. But it feels good to step away from some of the realities for a while. So I've been embracing that.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna try all those things. Yesterday where was I? I was at when I heard about the fire and the wind down here in southern part of the county. The wind was just terrifying, and tree branches and pieces of debris were flying everywhere. And it was the time I had this window of time where I could get outside and go for a walk and just, trying to get some of the day out of my head. And I elected not to, because I didn't want to end up with another, have a nice dinner, Ingrid. Say hi to your father, please.
I will. You guys want to meet him?
Yeah. Heck
See if
yeah.
he's game. See if he's up for that.
What's his name?
Do you want to meet my Zoom meeting? Do you want to say hi to my Zoom meeting?
Hi. Oh,
Hi,
Hey, hi.
Mr. Larson.
yeah. Nice looking modulated.
We love
All
your
right. He
daughter.
can't hear you because I've got my AirPods. So,
Oh, okay.
all right. Adios.
Adios. Have a nice dinner. So adding levity, adding water, getting outside, breathing, connection. Is anybody struggling with family conversations about the holidays? Is Thanksgiving not that big of a deal, but Christmas is starting to feel like pressure, or Hanukkah, or New Year's, or my half birthday? My half birthday is in December. Anybody struggling with conversations, or hearing family struggling with conversations? Oh, you guys, come on.
Maybe, I wonder, it's any of our attendees have any thoughts or ideas?
I have a question, and since we're in a lull here, do you imagine that there's going to be a lot of people camping around?
Yeah,
Asking for a friend?
I think outdoor recreation. So I was on a call today, or meeting today, with the Yosemite National Park superintendent and staff, and they said that visitation to Yosemite is busier than normal. When the reservation system ended
Oh, right.
earlier this month, it ended on October 31st. They said the very next day was a Sunday, and immediately there were search and rescues, injuries, people falling off waterfalls, etc., that hadn't happened, just because with a reservation, it seemed like maybe people had to plan their trips a little better and really think, well, gosh, am I going to take that hike, or what am I going to do, or, for whatever reason. And now not having the reservations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I thought that was really
You mean
interesting.
like the people that didn't get reservations are more likely to fall into a waterfall?
No, that wasn't the explanation that the ranger gave. He suggested it was because when you had to make a reservation and really plan out your trip,
Yeah.
that maybe you just thought everything through. Beth, that reminds me of something that you shared with us. And a lot of time when you talk about avalanche risk, it's like, why do we take risks? And so I think, Beth, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think not having to think something through when it's
Yeah.
you're there. Okay, well, yeah, let me go over to Nevada Falls a little more and see the picture.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I think, Stacy, as you say it, because it's true. If we're going to be really mindful about something, right, we're going to plan it. And there's a difference in levels of planning, and so then there's a difference in levels of risk. And here's the thing that I'm really acutely aware of, is I believe a lot of us. So it's not that we really go to sleep, but I'm not sure how awake we stay around some of the decisions we make.
yeah.
And so if you are not as awake and aware, you're going to be more inclined to get injured.
Yeah.
And I say that as my son spent the evening last night in the urgent care with his girlfriend, because she was climbing and she hasn't climbed in weeks. And she was so excited to climb, and she was the first one, and she fell. And she's a child that can climb like the best of them. And she even said last night, I was so excited to climb that I wasn't even paying attention like I usually would. So she won't be climbing.
I
for a long
certainly
time
have
now.
that going on. How about the rest of you? Like,
I do.
I have to remind myself to stay in my body. I mean, I've had bee stings and wasp stings, and I broke my ankle and burned myself really badly all during COVID. And not all of it's related to being dissociated in that way, but certainly some of it has been, no question. That's why I really had to think yesterday, do I want to get hit by a tree limb? Because with my luck during this period of time, that could easily happen. It just made me think about my risk differently. Whereas I think, like, if I hadn't thought about it, I might have tried to find a place where I could just be out, and yeah, just try, like, really saying to myself, be in your body, be in your body, be in your body. And part of it is being on the computer all the time. For me, it's relentless. I'm having all these conversations. I love seeing you, and I'm in my living room. It's weird.
Well, and I think you're saying something really important too, Robin, is that we all know that we feel stressed, right? And we'll have all this language for it and vocabulary and everything, but all that stress is sitting in our bodies too, right? So I mean, our bodies and our minds are connected. So we're experiencing a lot more for many of us than we're even aware of. And then all of a sudden, you trip or fall, or you're not aware of your environment as much, or do you know what I'm saying? I just think it all goes hand in hand, but I don't think most of us think in those terms.
Our caller is back. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a comment.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Hey guys, yeah, a lot got said in between the time that between now and when I unmuted myself. But as far as risk taking and stuff goes, well, a lot of it, I mean, for me myself, I know everybody's different, but eventually, if I don't do something a little that gets my adrenaline going just a little bit, after a while, I start to get a little bit bored, and I just start to feel a little bit less alive. I don't know if you guys can relate to that or not, but I guess yeah, I just, since we kind of moved on from that, or you guys moved on from that topic, I would just like to share with you guys a really good YouTube channel that I think would be helpful for everybody in the community, that has some good information, and it goes over a lot of psychology and philosophy, and it's called Academy of Ideas. And it's just a guy who narrates some stuff, and has some wisdom and some stuff to reflect upon, and that kind of stuff. I just thought I'd share that with you guys.
Thank you. All right. So, coping and thriving, managing and driving as we learn how to deal with stress and emotion in our bodies all the time, and especially during this time. Because I think where we started in March, one of the things we talked about is how unusual it is to have the whole community or the country all going through the same thing at the same time and talking about the same thing at the same time. And that usually is something that happens during intense disasters like we're seeing up in the Antelope Valley right now. Is that community is having the same experience. Eventually it will feel a little different whether you lost your house or didn't or not, but everyone will be talking about the fire. And there's something bonding about that, and there's something connecting about that, where we're all trying to manage how we're going to deal with this thing. COVID's invisible. We've been dealing with this for a very long time. We've lost a lot of people. And so there's the fatigue, I think, that comes with that, right? And there's the sense of just being on high alert all the time. And so I really appreciate, again, talking about how do we get all of that out of our bodies or manage it in our bodies differently so that we're not harboring stress. And then these skills will be things that we can use later for the next stressors that come along in our lives, whether it's collective or individual.
I really like the way you said that, Robin, because I think one of the pieces that many of us don't think about is that most of the time, one of the most big important piece to me is that we can't get to what in my business we call the post-trauma response, right? And we talked about this earlier in with the fire today. The fires are going to stop and people are devastated. Horrible things have happened, but they're going to start to go into recovery quite quickly. And I know Walker as a community, they're going to all join together because they're a tight community, and they're going to share that, right? They're going to share that, which will be not only bonding, potentially more bonding, but also it's very healthy. It's part of, in a post-trauma response, one of the biggest pieces to be able to do is to actually help make things better. And the research shows this over and over again. If you can actually engage in making things better, then you actually will do better in terms of your resilience. In this case with COVID, we can't get to a post-trauma response because it's not over, right? It's not done. Right. So we end up in the state of, and I know I feel this way, we end up in the state of continually trying to sort of manage our resilience to stay with our heads above water, right? So that we can make it now through the next week or next month. I don't know about you guys, but they start to blend in for me. Time is blending in. It's a little bit like that. I think that the movie, is it called Palm Springs? Anybody watch Palm Springs or Groundhog Day, the old Groundhog Day? Palm Springs is a newer movie out where you kind of keep doing the same thing very similarly. And yet I don't want to ever take away what Matthew was saying about thriving, is that human beings, we're incredible, guys. We are incredibly resilient as human beings. I mean, most of us will even grow from some of this, so that when bad things happen again, like you just said, we'll potentially have that in our toolkit, right? To be able to manage. I mean, look at what we've been doing all these months.
Yeah. So maybe I'll be a better person, is what you're saying, when we're done.
Yeah, or be able to tolerate stress more, or to be able to tolerate bad things. I wish we knew bad things weren't going to happen, but they do happen at different times in our lives. And
I want this bring up an interesting situation the last couple of days. I've just been, one thing, having both the fire and COVID. I mean, with the fire, everyone wants to help. We've been, and I'm sure Lauren, all of us kind of been inundated today with people calling and asking, how do we help? Calling the town, how do we help? And so we've gotten it up and running. There's things in place. A member of Robin's staff is helping deliver items from Mammoth up to Walker, and everybody is just so anxious to help because you feel so terrible for the victims, and you feel better when you help. But it's not that simple with COVID, is it? And I've been struck just in meetings the last couple of days now. 3 months ago, I knew a couple of people who'd had COVID, and unfortunately knew the community member we lost. But now, I mean, I was on a meeting of county supervisors, and in our little group, there were 2 people actively sick with COVID on the meeting. You know, it's just, it's around so much more too. It's just, you know, interesting, but yet that's not necessarily making everyone, you know, oh, let's rally around and do this and get this done. You know, we're still split, you know, not everybody, it's just
Right.
not that easy. And trying to live with this nuance and the basic fact that not everybody agrees on the response to that. Some people got really, on social media, got really mad at some comments that were made in a meeting we had locally the other day that, you know, sort of saying, hey guys, here in Mammoth and Mono County, we can't blame our increase in COVID cases on visitors. It's us right now. We're the ones. And wow, man, I heard from a couple of people who really took issue with that and got mad that we said that we were somehow accusing them of not doing enough. It's just, with COVID, it's so much more nuanced, and to be able to just, I don't know, not let that kind of crush you or get you down too much is a challenge. It's something I've been thinking about. I don't know, a little bit rambling, but.
No, I don't think so. You know, I mean, you can, if you're in the center of it, it's like a star. You can orient around, well, maybe people won't get that sick, or like the caller said, you know, the people over 70, people under 70 don't die. Well, I'm pretty close to 70. I know a lot of people that are 70, and I don't want, I want to protect my community. Like I orient around it based on my values and my ideas about the world, I think, right? And I also know my nephew who's quite young, got so sick, and he's got that lingering, whatever it's called, the lingering, you know, where you have symptoms of that are a part of it. Like, so you can look at it and say, I don't want that. I don't want to die right now. I don't want to get super sick right now. I don't want to get, you know, whatever some of those stuff it is. Or you can go, and this is the hard part about being in the role that, at least that I'm in, is trying to get people to do it for other people. Like, you read some of these things that the healthcare workers, like in places that are really inundated right now, you read some of the things that they're saying around, why are you doing this to us? You know, like, we're not going to make it, the healthcare workers, because it's so overwhelming. I don't know. I think there's so many different ways, like you're saying, like, is it anybody's fault? No. But is it everybody's responsibility? Maybe, yes. And so I think, you know, just like the caller has his beliefs around, and he's very strong beliefs, and he wants to make sure people understand them. Totally get that. I get the idea that I want people to understand me, but I think we've got a bigger thing here, and we can rise to an occasion to say, how do we keep, what does it mean to do something for someone else, not just for my own desire? And that seems to me to be where we're really stuck right now. Because people are deciding it doesn't matter how it is for others. And that is very, you know, if you look at science around, or the, you know, research around public health, it's hard to get people to do things that are better for themselves, but it's really hard to get people to do things that are good for other people in America. And I think that's what we're talking about on some level, all of us, and our, you know, how do we get people to respond differently? And then I don't know about you, but I just keep going back to, what do I have control over? And I've been trying to notice the people that I work around or work with, and just be appreciative and let them know, like, I noticed what you said, or I noticed what you're doing, or I see you at all these meetings, or I know I saw you picking up trash out there, whatever the thing is, and just acknowledging that, because that to me is also getting lost. We're getting really, kind of like what the caller said, like, we're getting caught in the coping and not so much in the thriving, you know. And people are working hard and doing good things all day, every day, you know. And
Robin, do you think
Go ahead.
some of it is the fatigue too. You know,
Yeah.
I just a level of fatigue because of the chronic nature and the complex nature of what's happening. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you know, we've joked right early on, like, oh, we could do anything for 2 months. I mean, we're 8 months in, right? I just wonder what kind of erosion, a level of erosion that for many of us, and which could include being less careful or less caring or all of that because of the levels of exhaustion that people are experiencing. I don't know. That's just a
Totally.
thought.
So we have a few minutes. Beth, if you wouldn't mind at the end to just run us through some more, not run us through, that sounds like, let's get it over with, to help us with
Not at all.
some breathing, that would be lovely.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
really appreciated the caller talking about that, the power of, you know, what sounds like his practice
yeah,
and how powerful that is. So
yeah.
it'd be my pleasure.
And reminding people that if you are dealing with the fire or you want to know more about how to help people who are dealing with the fire and the aftermath of the fire that was up in Antelope Valley yesterday, you can go to the monocounty.ca.gov website. You'll see a picture of a fire. Click on it. There's a lot of information there. You can call my department, which is 760-924-1740. You can call social services. There's many ways that you can engage with the county around what's available in the immediate time right now while we're trying to help our neighbors and our friends and our loved ones that are up in the Antelope Valley area. There are more formal things that happen, for instance, through the Red Cross, but there's also some very grassroots, community-minded things that are happening right now around food drives and clothes drives. And I know that there's some agencies and chambers and different parts that are trying to figure out ways of getting some money together so that we can help take care of our neighbors. There's much more that will be happening. I mean, we're just a little past the 24-hour mark. So right now we're still in the emergency mode, but if you stay tuned to what the county has to offer and the town has to offer and the communities have to offer, there will be more ways for you to participate in helping our neighbors and our loved ones that are up in North County. In addition to that, we do simulcast this on the Facebook Live through the Mono County Behavioral Health page. There's all kinds of resources on there as well, including breathing and yoga and art and reading and book clubs and all matter of things. We will be back next month, mid-month, to talk about how we did through the Thanksgiving holiday, what we're thankful for, how to stay connected to the people that we care about and love, and strangers even. Anybody want to add anything?
So if, you know what, since maybe not all of us are going to be around the Thanksgiving table with our family, should we do the corny thing where we go around and say what we're grateful for? Lauren really
Yeah.
already did it, but now she
Yeah.
okay.
You want to start?
Yeah, I'm really grateful today for community, for you, for colleagues. I was on meetings all day with people across the state and just, you know, and I probably over worry always, but with COVID definitely. And, you know, it's trying to, you know, just stressing the way something's going to go. But, you know, you trust in the community, people will come together and do good things. And we really saw that today.
Cassandra, you want to go next?
Yeah, you know, like Stacy said, I'm super grateful for our community. You know, everyone just getting together, acting quickly. I'm grateful for the endless support I have received, and not just from, you know, from my employer, from my community, you know, but from my family and friends as well.
I'm grateful, quite honestly, for the fact that there are some brilliant scientists out there that have created what appears to be 2 vaccines. that look like they're 90 to 95% effective. And that gave me a tremendous amount of hope this week that this will actually have an end point. And so I'm very grateful to all the hard work that not only our medical professionals have done and our essential workers, but our scientists who have, they haven't probably slept much in order to in a weird way save the world.
How about you, Lauren?
I'm thankful for good neighbors. I came home and my neighbor plowed my driveway for me. It was amazing.
Oh,
I'm early just to do it. They're a miracle.
I think I am I'm grateful for it, and gratitude, and I'm also very moved by what I think kind of what you're saying, Stacy, is I was involved in a lot of interaction and meetings starting last night and this morning around how to mobilize. And there are people who lost their homes that I love and care for up in the Walker area. And there's something really moving to me about when humans look at tragedy and don't turn away and just move, like do the right thing and move toward it. And, I don't know how to comfort my friends that are up there who have lost their homes. I don't, I can help with resource. I can like do things, but I just wanted to just tell them like, I love you and I'm here. And like the people that I work with and who are working on this, I so appreciate your willingness to come forward and work together on something that's meaningful like this. That feels to me like, I don't know, like gold. That feels to me, it's incredibly moving to me. And as are all of you. I really appreciate all the work you do. I appreciate that you show up. I appreciate that you do this. I appreciate that I know that everybody here is tired, and we reach out to each other and we just keep moving forward because it's the right thing to do, and it's what has meaning, and we want to take care of our community. And that is an enormous gift, and I appreciate that very much. Can we breathe for a minute?
yes, thanks, Robin. Yes, the power of breathing, guys, is absolutely, I've said this before, I feel it's non-negotiable. I've taught so many thousands of people how to meditate over the years. If you let all the air out of your lungs for a moment, and breathing is so easy, and you take a breath in through your nose, and you hold it for a moment, and then you exhale and you let all the air out of your lungs again, you've created sort of what we would call a full breath. And many of us start, and if you do it again, start again, take a breath in, hold it at the top of the breath, and exhale again, letting all the air out of your lungs. And if you practice that a little bit and do 8 to 10 of those right now, just allow yourself to do some breathing where you're doing a full breath. Many of us are so stressed lately that we breathe more shallow during the stressful periods. Our bodies kind of go into this mobilization, or what we call vigilance, and we'll breathe more in a more shallow way. So just allow yourself, if you can, to really focus on your breathing. And there's a lot we can't control, but one thing we can control at all times is our breathing. And when we notice that we're breathless, to stop for a moment and just to focus. And I really appreciated our caller talking about that, putting yourself in places where your body can relax, like in nature, or, guys going outside more, or activity where you're exercising, getting your heart rate up so you can get the adrenaline out, all of those things. Just allow yourself to focus on a natural breath for a moment. And take this with you as we end tonight. Take this with you. Just make a commitment for the next 30 minutes to just focus on your breathing. And the thought will come in, let the thought come in, and then just go back to realizing you don't need that thought right now and just focus on your breathing. I know we have to stop on that note, Robin.
And we did
Well-
have a question. I just wanted to remind everyone that the recording of this is on the coronavirus portal on the county website and probably on
Also, yeah.
Behavioral Health Facebook page, also Mono County Behavioral Health.
Yeah, feel free, pass it around to your friends and family. We'll be back next month before the 25th. We don't have a date set yet, but we're going to do that. We're happy to have, if you have community members that you'd like to be here, we had a few selected, but because of the fire, they're not able to make it. But if you have community members you'd like to include, happy to do that. And we'll talk about how was it? What are you thankful for? What's going well? What's making you thrive?
Robin, our caller would like to share what he's thankful for.
Okay. It's good to have a guest.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
Have
I
at
just
it.
wanted to
Wind us up
to
here.
share what I'm grateful and thankful for as well. So I'm grateful for the fact that I have a roof over my head, a nice warm place, and I have food security. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm especially grateful for that I live in a country that so many people gave their lives for freedom and liberty, so that I don't have to give my life for freedom and liberty. And I'm very grateful that I live in a country that I have personal autonomy and bodily autonomy, and I can choose what I do and don't do with my body. Thanks.
Right on. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you all. I'll see you all out there, and we will be back. And thank you for listening. And please, if you can want to put your comments into Facebook Live on the behavioral health page. We look at them and we try to answer them as much as we can. Thanks very much for being out there. Hang in there. And really, from our hearts to all the people up in the Antelope Valley, we're thinking about you and holding you close. Thanks a lot. Bye, everybody. Thanks,
Good night.
Lauren, for
Have a good evening.
being our moderator. Bye-bye.
Bye.